Hello everyone and welcome to Off the Cuff. Today we are going to be talking about parenting skills and education, two things that go hand in hand. And we are fortunate to have in the studio two experts. We have Mr. Chick Moorman, who is an author, a former teacher himself with 50 years of experience, and also a verbal skills director. And we're going to be talking to him about what that actually means. We also have one of our own, Margaret King Ahmed, who we are very pleased to have with us, who is an educator as well in Dearborn schools. And you are the parent-teacher involvement educator, which is so important, which is key for any successful institution and key to children being successful in school, because without parent participation it is very difficult, and we have statistics to show for that.
What Margaret does is good for the teachers and good for the children.
Absolutely.
And good for,
and
the,
for
parents.
the parents.
She hits them all.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. But I learned from Chick.
Absolutely, and that's a relationship I want to talk about really quick. So as the parent-teacher educator in Dearborn, you hooked up with Chick Moorman, who is an author of Parent Talk and many other books that I have. My kids were like, "Who is this Chick Moorman, and why are you listening to him?" I even have the tapes, and it's like they not like you for a long time. It's like, why are you following his instruction? But it works, and it's a really quality kind of information. And I've also attended a few of your seminars too. Very entertaining, but very, very pertinent. So tell us real quick about the two of you and how you
So here's what happened.
Got together.
First of all, I'm a mom and I'm an educator, but I think all parents are the first teachers. And so I gravitated towards Chick's workshops and his trainings because it spoke to me as a parent. I wanted to know what are the best practices, and all of his work that he's done has been research-based. And so we know, and it's skill-based. Sure. And that's really what we need as parents. We need skills, real skills for today's world. And so I kind of sought him out, just wanting to better myself as a parent, as an educator. And back in 2001, I actually did some training with him, took some parent talk classes and whatnot. And it just really resonated with me. I said, oh my gosh, as a mother of 5 children, now I'm a grandmother of 6. You know, I came from a very big family.
God bless you.
Yeah, and I came from a very large family of 13, counting my parents 15. My aunt lived with us 16. And I just really started to understand that relationships, your whole life is relationships, but the first and most important relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. If you can't love yourself, I don't know how you're going to love your kids or your spouse or anybody else. And so this whole idea behind what Chick was really kind of promoting was that we have to model, we have to learn how to model, and we have to be the best practitioners of modeling skill-based kind of lessons for our kids, to show them, not just tell them, you know, you do this and you do this and you do that. No, I'm going to model what it looks like, sounds like, and feels like, to be respectful, to have integrity, to understand empathy, and
do
all
what
of
I say, not what I do.
Yeah, I mean,
that whole
and to
concept.
let go of that power
Sure.
struggle. People are struggling. Parents are struggling. They're struggling. They think if they struggle and they struggle harder and harder and harder, something's going to give. Well, something is going to give. Everything's going to collapse. And so this understanding that I got through his training for the teacher talk and the parent talk was that, no, we need to let go of struggles. We need to be very present. We need to be very mindful. We need to be very conscious. We need to let go of distractions, and there's plenty of distractions out there. That technology has been a complete distraction for education, for raising kids, and all of it. It's not going to go away. So we have to learn how to be skillful with it and incorporate it, and learn how to put some parameters and give kids some opportunity to be decision makers and choice makers, and help empower them to do those kinds of things, so that they will be able to be on their own and be very capable of functioning in today's world.
So what Margaret did was came to one of our verbal skills workshops, a couple of them 10 years ago or so, and she's come back to Dearborn and been spreading those skills to the teachers and the parents for a long time, and really building skills out in the community that help raise responsible, caring, conscious children, which I think is something we're all in favor of.
Most desperately and most definitely, especially in this day and age. So verbal skills director, what does that actually mean, and how do you apply that to your workshops and lessons?
I like to call myself a verbal skills practitioner. I believe in it. I want to use that. Verbal skills are about how we talk, how we language, what are the words that come out of our mouth, and not only what do we say, but what do sometimes kids hear when we say what we say. And to have verbal skills that really work. Many years ago, I was a rookie teacher and taught 5th grade. And right across the hall from me was a 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Brown. And she was able to get what she wanted from the students in terms of achievement, in terms of behavior, in terms of cooperation, in terms of respect. Right next to her was another 4th grade teacher, who I won't mention her name, was not able
This is blue.
to get was not able to get the kids to do that. And I figured as a 1st grade teacher, well, Mrs. Brown got all the good kids. And then it happened again the next year and the next year and the next year.
Mrs. Brown's doing something right.
She was, and I started paying attention. I started paying attention to how she talked. And what did she say? Because they all wanted the same things. She got it, the other teacher didn't. And I guess, first of all, who was the loudest? It wasn't Mrs. Brown.
No.
No. And what a lot of parents do is they use their verbal repertoire, whatever it happens to be, to tell kids what to do or invite them to do something, and they don't do it, and it doesn't work. A lot of parents get louder. And if you've got an ineffective verbal skill, and you get louder, now you've got a loud, ineffective verbal skill.
Exactly.
It's not the volume.
Yeah.
It makes sense when you put it into that perspective.
You can't sit in your easy chair at home and say, Muhammad, stop whining. Stop whining. You have to learn verbal skills to deal with that, like Muhammad does whining. Whining doesn't work on me because I can't hear you. It hurts my ears. I don't even know what you're saying. What you need to do is speak in a normal voice. And if you do that, Muhammad, sometimes you get what you want, and sometimes you won't.
Absolutely.
But Muhammad, it's your only hope. And then you got a hold of that. That's a verbal skill that we teach teachers, that we teach parents, so that they can, and that doesn't work, it works just with whining, it works with hitting and teasing and pouting and all kinds of behaviors. That's just one skill of a whole bunch of verbal skills that creating what we're calling the parent talk and the teacher talk system.
Right. And they do things like parents, and I've done it myself, so I know I'm speaking from experience, and as a teacher, stop that. Don't do that. And as soon as we say that, I mean, we're daring them. We're really just kind of, stop it, don't do it. Oh yeah, you want to see me? And so there's a whole language around that as well. There's a skill that we use that is, check yourself. Are you doing what you need to be doing right now? What could you be doing that would be the better thing to be doing? Or, next time, I noticed you did this. Would you do, check yourself and do this next time? But just to be able to check in with yourself and your behaviors and your actions and your whole belief system about what you're doing in that moment is what teachers go away with when they go to the teacher talk workshops and parents take away from their parent talk classes. And I feel so blessed to be able to be in the Dearborn schools. They've hired me to do this on a full-time basis, and it's really changed people's lives. The parents come back and take the class again. They always want to know if there's some more that I'm going to get. And I say, well, I'm going to give you the same stuff, but I'll tell you what, there might have been something you missed the first time in that first class that you're going to walk away with the next time you come to this class. And they do.
They hear it differently, too,
and they
because
hear it differently.
They've come now with a whole set of having used that for a while. Some of these skills are very simple.
Yes.
These are not complicated. And this can be something as simple as you heard Margaret say, stop running, stop running. And we don't say that anymore. We say, please walk your feet. Every time you say, stop running, you know what picture we put in the kid's head? Running. You know what goes in the old biocomputer? Running. That's not what we want. What we want is walking. Stop talking about running and start talking about
what you
walking.
want
them
have
to do.
Done.
Exactly.
That's the teaching piece. It teaches what we want to have happen, not just get after them for what we don't want to have happen.
So stop doing that. Why are you doing that? Instead, rather than saying that, it's, do you think that you're doing the right thing right now? I mean,
I wouldn't even check that. You would just say instead. So what you don't want is resistance, and you don't want to leave them with that word run, but you want to leave them with the word with what you actually want. What is the action? So stop running. No, we would say something more like walking feet.
Okay.
We're walking here.
Okay, so it's not really an analysis process. It's telling them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah, reminding them what it is with a
terms.
feather instead of a hammer.
So if you got a 5-year-old that comes down to have breakfast and the dog is sitting in their chair, and the 5-year-old's like, get down, get off my chair, get down my chair. And I would say, don't treat the dog that way. Don't be hitting the dog. I say, Willie, in our home, we respect animals and people. And we don't use our hands and fists in negative ways. Let me show you. Come on, sit up here, Fluffy. So now watch what I do. Okay, Fluffy, hey, you're in my seat. Come on, get off, Fluffy. I'd like you to get up now. That's how we treat this dog, with respect. Now let's have you do it. Let me put Fluffy up here. What am I doing? I'm teaching, not punishing, not disciplining.
Teaching.
Well, actually, the root word of discipline is disciple, teacher, learner.
Yeah.
And if parents are boom, jump right to some kind of punishment and skip over that teaching piece, they've screwed up.
And the practicing is part of that. Like he gave that example, now you let him do it. You let him do it. You've modeled for that child, this is how we treat our animals in this house, and so now it's your turn. After you've already given him what is the skill that we want him to walk away with or own, and so now he gets to practice it, so he can feel comfortable with it.
So when we say sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I mean, that goes right out of the window, because it's really the words that stay with children and how you react to them.
Respond. We learn to respond instead of reacting, because reacting can be very explosive.
Absolutely.
And I think that was part of what you're kind of alluding to here as well, is that, from your easy chair, you're going, stop it, you better stop that, don't make me get up and get after you, and so you're throwing the threats out and you're getting louder, but you're not really kind of showing them and teaching them with the language that this is how we do things.
There's two parts of that.
Yeah.
If you want responsible, caring, conscious children. One is, I want to teach kids not to tease and taunt and bully. Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I want to teach children how to hear that. My son was 5 years old. His older brother, this 5-year-old comes running in, crying and sobbing, and you've dealt with a 5-year-old just full of tears, and the tears run down. And he can't even get his breath. And I got him on my lap, and I said, "What's wrong?" He
can't breathe.
I said, "Breathe with me, breathe with me." And I said, "Okay, now what's going on?" He said, Randy. Randy's his older brother, about 4 or 5 years older. Who knows better than this? But does
it happens.
Things
it happens all the time.
Randy called me stupid. Randy called me stupid. I said, "Okay, you're a car." He said, "What?" I said, "You're a car. Car, you're a car." He said, "What are you doing, Dad?" I said, "I'm calling you a car. And you're not even crying. What's going on?" He said, "I'm not a car." See, it's not so much what we say to kids as it is what they say to themselves about that. Randy calls him stupid, and he gets all upset because he said, "Oh, geez, Randy thinks I'm stupid." If Randy called him a car, he said, "What's wrong with Randy? What is up with Randy today? Boy, Randy's having a bad day." he needs to learn to say that when Randy calls him stupid. And I want to work with Randy to not be calling people that, but I want to empower the kids. It's never what somebody does to us that's important. It's how we respond to it.
Right.
That's where our power is.
Yeah.
I want even 5-year-olds to learn that.
Right. It doesn't matter what happens to you, it's how you handle what happens to you.
It's learning to respond. I often tell people in their classes that it's like being someone who fights fires, When that call comes through, they don't react, they respond. There's a whole protocol for responding so that people are safe and the right things happen at the right time.
So how do you teach parents this skill who maybe did not grow up that way, who maybe emulate their parents in regards to, stop it and what's wrong with you, and and some parents, are physical as well, and obviously that's that's definitely not a teaching or learning moment. But how do you get this message across to parents, especially in this day and age where you have two working parents and you don't really have people at home? The patience level is totally gone by the time you come home at 5:30 and you have to deal with kids. So how do you instill this in telling, thinking about, telling, well, Randy called you stupid, but I'm going to say car. I mean, how do you find the...
Well, I tell you what I believe about that, and I'll bet you Margaret's right in line with me, is that and I'm going to say we, that's not true, jump in. What we do is that we work with the parents who are ready.
Are ready?
That we offer workshops. We have written books, and there are parents that want to read those, or parents that want to come to our workshops. We don't sit around saying, oh man, I wish so-and-so would have come. Well, we do sometimes, because I do wish someone would have come, but we work with the ones that are there.
They're there.
And I always figure the ones that are there are the ones that need it. And we have workshops and exercises where they read things and fill in blanks, and we talk and share with a partner. And we go back and we practice, and we come back next week and say, how'd that go? What worked? What didn't work? And they get better and better and better and better. And the more skills they get, the more they want. And the more they want, the better they get. And it explodes.
And they tell other parents. They start to talk about it to other parents. And other parents start to see how the difference with their own, the children with the parents that have come to classes.
I remember sitting in one of your workshops, and you were talking about your daughter. I believe it was your daughter, and she had to go on some sporting event, and she forgot her backpack at the house. And that sort of resonated with me, because that is teaching kids consequences for their actions. So just give us a synopsis of that, if you recall.
Yes, I do. I do
And
recall
there's another
that
story
That was
we talk about.
That was a Taekwondo experience, and what she had done is it's a 2-hour commitment. I have to drive into town and stay there for an hour and drive back, and she would forget things like teeth guard and helmet and stuff. And so I said, "What's my job as a parent?" My job as a parent is to give my kid a system, and their job is to use it. So I bought the biggest Taekwondo bag I could find. I had a place for every single thing, and I had to put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. And I said, there you go. That's how you remember. That's how you remember your stuff. Because we would get there and she wouldn't have her helmet. She would get there and we wouldn't have her teeth guard. I'm not buying a new teeth guard every time I go to Taekwondo. I'm sorry. All right.
An hour away or 2 hours away.
So one day she said, ready to go. And I said, okay. I went out the car, and there's a bag. She throws it in the car and jumps in. And as I walked down the hall, I saw her helmet sitting on her bed. So I got to decide, what am I going to say now? I could say, hey, go get your helmet. I didn't say that. I said, check yourself.
that was profound at that moment.
Which is one of the phrases we teach parents to use a lot. Check yourself, see if you got everything. She said, oh, I got it. She throws the bag and she jumps in. Now it's my turn again. I got to decide what to do. So I got in the car, I backed out, we drove all the way in. She gets there and she didn't have all her stuff. She's upset. Somebody stole my helmet. I wanted to say, oh, no, they didn't. I didn't go there. I said, oh, man, that's too bad. What a shame. Well, that's a bummer. What are you going to do about it? And here's some, we talked about some possibilities you could do this time. And I said, I know you can handle it, which is another very important thing for parents to say. I know you can handle it. I'm going, because I always would go up to 7-Eleven and get a Diet Coke and a newspaper, and I come back and read it and watch her and read it and watch her. And I just let the consequences do the teaching. I didn't have to do it. And we got in the car and went home, and she found it, and she said, oh, geez, I guess I have to be more careful next time. Yep, I guess so.
So she learned, and she actually had to pay the consequences of her reaction. See, I would have went in and said, you left your thing on the bed, go get it. What about if we got there and it wasn't there? And so I mean, I want to think that I'm a good parent, but that would be my first reaction. So
well, we take it personally. That's it. You're not going because you left the car. I'm not driving all the way in there for nothing. If you can't remember your stuff, You know what that does? That puts me against you.
Right.
Yeah.
When I drip
And
with
breaks
empathy.
down
No win-win there.
their self-esteem
There's no
as
win-win.
well.
When I make an empathetic response and I drip with empathy, oh, let me see. Oh, that's too bad. What a shame. Darn, that must be tough. What are you going to do about it? Now it's me shoulder to shoulder with her,
Right.
facing the
Facing the
problem,
problem.
Right.
not me facing her. And as you know, Margaret, one of the things we say is if you don't know what to say to your kids, go with empathy.
Yeah.
Start with empathy first, because if nothing else, it gives you time to think about what you're going to say next.
Right. And I think, too, as parents, we want to be in control of everything.
Right.
We want to be
Right.
in control because it's a reflection on
We gotta
us.
take
If this
care of
kid
them,
doesn't
we
do
gotta make
this and
sure.
do that, people are going to think I'm a bad. So there's that whole judgment thing that
Sure.
takes place. So people have to let go of that. They have to be safe enough in themselves and feel that in their heart that it's okay. This is learning. We're all learning here. And I'm going to practice and I'm going to train myself before I can train my kids how to respond instead of react, how to let go of stress, how to have empathy, how to really put forth the practice of these verbal skills. Yeah.
I've found that if a parent changes, so does the kid.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I find that with teachers too.
Yeah, you
Change
can't
yourself
change
first.
others. You have to
Change
change
yourself first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The tattoo.
You know what?
The tattoo. Do you remember that story? One of the kids got a tattoo or wanted to get a tattoo. Do you recall
No, I don't remember this stuff. Sounds like it might be one I could regenerate music in sometime. Tell me about it.
Well, I don't recall the exact thing that you did, but I remember you allowed it to go till the last second, and actually, took the child to get the tattoo, and you were talking about, how painful it is and what have you, but hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. And I remember you said that you had your hand on your heart thinking, is this kid really going to go through it? But the moral of the story is you allowed that person to make their own decision, and they didn't end up with the tattoo.
You know what? I would be less likely to do that with a tattoo than I would be if you forgot your lunch and left it on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
That's one I can really let the consequences teach.
Right.
Yeah.
This one with the tattoo is getting more towards safety and health and safety issues.
Yeah.
And that was your conversation with, I thought it was your daughter. Is this what you want? This is going to, follow you the rest of your life, what have you. And I think it was sort of the last minute where she backed off. So those were the two stories that really, really resonated with me.
Wow.
And I've tried that, so now you're telling me you don't remember. But thank God it turned out okay.
Follow your heart. And when in doubt, follow your heart.
Exactly. A little bit off camera, we were talking about, our current environment, and that's really, really important. And in what you both do in regards to the messages for parents and for children. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing right now, it's a very difficult environment for the adults to deal with, and you see the behaviors that are sort of changing and sort of condoning maybe some bully mentality, and maybe taking away, for the lack of a better word, political correctness, basically, when you're dealing with other people, and sort of giving us a carte blanche just to be not nice. And so that resonates with children too, in this current environment, and the messages that they're hearing, which is, I would say on my end, I think it's deplorable that kids are being subjected to this kind of verbiage and language and relationships that adults are actually portraying. So how do we deal with those kinds of things in terms of environment, in terms of what they're exposed to, and the political atmosphere is one thing, but you're looking at video games, you're looking at The Simpsons. I mean, I watched The Simpsons and I'm going, this is public TV. People actually can watch this. Little kids can watch this.
That's
in a
mild.
form of cartoons. It is, but kids don't realize that this is adult comedy, which shouldn't be in a form of cartoon to begin with. So they're exposed to things that they are just not mature enough to process and handle. So their reactions are going to be different.
I think it gets down to accountability. I mean, I'm holding everybody accountable. I'm holding the stations accountable people that run the stations, people that create this kind of stuff, but I'm holding parents accountable. And I think a lot of what Chick has actually put out there and researched and really practiced and has been out there preaching to people, not just preaching, sharing with people, is that accountability part is so, so important, especially even in our politics today. And that's going to be forever. We need to hold ourselves accountable before we can hold anybody else accountable. And so our parents have to rise up and meet that challenge and say, you know, if we're going to watch this, we need to keep a couple things in mind. Or we're not going to watch this and you can choose between this and this, you know, so that the kids can have some choice or decision-making autonomy, but that we are also always remembering accountability in everything we do.
I got two things I want to say about that.
Okay.
Three things. Is number one, I agree with that.
Okay.
And the other two things are, I said I'm invested in helping people raise responsible, caring, conscious children, and because I don't think there's enough of them out there right now. Here's what else I think: there's not enough responsible, caring, conscious adults walking around today. We got a bunch of we've created a culture of victimhood where people blame people. The Republicans blame the Democrats. The Democrats blame the Republicans. Right? We blame the president. We blame other people, and nothing gets done. And everybody's pointing at somebody else. We blame the media. We blame everybody. You know what? That culture's not working.
No.
We need to start taking responsibility. And here's one of the first things that parents can do. They can't control whether some guy comes on and talks about abusing women and grabbing them in places.
Right.
They can't control over somebody that got rid of a bunch of emails or something. They can't control whether the woman at the in the Super Bowl has a malfunction with her blouse. You can't control what somebody. You can't control these things. You can't control kids being exposed to real danger with Native Americans having dogs sent against them because they're protesting their own sacred lands. You can't control. It's on there. It's on there. It's out there. But we can.
How do we help them to process it?
That's what we have to do. We have to help them process it. We have to debrief it with them. We just saw that. Let's talk about that for a couple minutes. What did you see there that scared you? What did you see there? Just what do you have questions about? Let's talk about that. Let's debrief that. You got to do the same thing if Uncle Al and Aunt Mary get a divorce. You can't make sure the whole world just is really nice. I mean, and everybody's wonderful and happy. They're getting a divorce. They don't like each other all that much anymore. So what about divorce? Let's talk about that. What do we believe about divorce? What does that do to the people we saw? Debriefing is a missing link in families and in American education today.
I agree.
We got to debrief that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do all the Hispanic people do with their children who are coming to them and saying, are they going to really send me back? I've lived here my whole life. And they start crying, and they cry in school. We need to show empathy. We need to hear them. We need to hear them so that we understand, not hear them so that we know what to say next, but hear them so they know we understood what they said, and then debrief it with them so they can make some sense out of it.
Absolutely. This went by so quickly, but really quick. You know, we're talking about kids, but even young adults, 17, 18, 19, exposed to this, can change everything that they have learned, because now they're exposed to this environment. They're exposed to it's okay, you know, to degrade women. It's okay to do this. And in their world, this is, you know, one experience can affect them and give them a carte blanche, or, you know, give them their walking papers to do whatever. So how do focus on that population, which I see is I don't see responsible 17, 18-year-olds anymore, or 20-year-olds.
They develop this attitude. He did it.
Right.
Yeah.
She did it.
Yeah. So
That's every
what's
other kid's
the big
school
deal?
do it.
What's the big deal?
Two rights make it right.
I want
Two
to
wrongs
teach
make it right.
kids
I mean,
to create
yeah.
integrity and character in here, so that it doesn't matter what anybody does out there, because that's how we choose to live. Because those are the choices I'm making about my life right now.
Yeah, changing one person at a time.
Well, I want to, you know what? I'm going out tonight, and I don't care what you say, because it's my life, and I'm going to do it, and you need to deal with it.
All right, and here's how I'm going to deal with it. If you choose this, you've decided to have that happen. If you choose this, you've decided to have that happen. And you're right, I can't stop you. You're bigger than me, you're stronger than me. And If you choose this, then you've
So you
chosen
allow
that.
them
And
to
you
Yeah,
can
make
decide.
those
Consequences.
the consequences will teach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. The
Yeah.
consequences will
Yeah,
see.
because
mean-
you know, a lot of times their parents will say, I punished him, I punished her. I said, no, 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 we don't use punishment because punishment hurts you, hurts them. We use consequences, and the consequences teach.
Absolutely.
So that's,
Well, this is a bigger conversation.
Jen-
I hope you both will come back.
Yeah.
I would love to continue this conversation, but thank you so much. And I know that you came a ways to be here, sort of on your route, but we caught you.
Thank you so
Margaret,
much.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us on Off the Cuff, and this is definitely a continuing conversation with anyone that has kids.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for being
inviting me.
here, both of you, and thank you all for joining us. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.